Hello everyone. Today we will be discussing about the performance metrics in cloud computing, and we will be more specifically focusing on the performance metrics for those cloud platforms where we will be hosting some of the IT services regarding Internet of Things. So by the end of this session, students will be able to assess the performance metrics for IoT based cloud platforms. So to begin with, it would be a good idea for beginning the things always with an example. So I'll be first of all introducing you with what is cloud computing. I mean, it's going to be a short revision of what we have seen in our earlier videos, and then we'll be focusing on some of the most important performance metrics. So as you can see here, we have the cloud computing model that we have used even in our earlier videos, which is broadly classified into 3 layers. Now, the moment whenever we are switching from a general cloud computing perspective towards an Internet of Things kind of a perspective, the things that differs cloud computing with Internet of Things is that we have some sort of analytics in the backend. Like we have seen in our earlier video, if you could just recall by pausing this video, that we have seen a couple of IoT based frameworks which are offered by Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, and even IBM's Blue Cloud. So depending upon which specific framework you are choosing for your IoT based application, you are going to decide the protocols, and those protocols in turn are going to be analyzing and adding the weight to the overall security of the system. It would be the overall easiness of your system. So some of the things like scalability, the bandwidth, the overall throughput, the amount of time it takes between the failures, and the amount of response time, all these things actually count the performance metrics. As you can see in this example, if you consider any monitoring application which comes somewhere in application layer, like one of the examples that we have seen called AWS Analytics. Either you can go with AWS Analytics, or if you want to begin with a small example which is free of cost, then you can go to thingspeak.com and register for a free account where you can use their APIs for attaching your sensors with the help of those predefined APIs, and then you can write a firmware for your controller and sense the data. So specific to a monitoring application, or you are trying to collaborate maybe by using Google Docs based online documentation, or maybe you are trying to communicate with people based on an online chat program. If all these things come under application layer, then probably you need to focus on those protocols that reside under the application layer of your cloud computing platform. So the availability of the system and the service as a whole definitely matters, and this is one of the topmost performance metric that you need to assess before choosing any cloud service. And if you have already chosen, you need to analyze the following things, because it never happens like you have chosen a particular cloud platform for your IoT specific application, and you are whether you have to be going for their premium version, or you want to switch back to some other service from another vendor. It has to be completely decided by analyzing the performance metrics. Second is you have reliability. I mean, reliability can be counted by analyzing 2 times, that is mean time between failures and mean time to repair. So the mean time between failure in the sense, for example, if I have a complete 1-day server, consider we are analyzing this reliability of the server for, consider we are analyzing the reliability of the server for 1 complete day, that is 24 hours. So if let us say that somewhere at 11 p.m. to 11:15 p.m. the service was down. So in these cases, we will be saying that out of 24 hours, 15 minutes you need to negate, because that was the time where we were trying to maintain our server, or maybe we were trying to repair our server, maybe due to, it could be enormous amount of issues. So what we need to focus here is the mean time between failures is total 23 hours and 45 minutes. I mean my service, my server is actually giving me a service for completely 23 hours and 45 minutes, whereas 15 minutes it was completely down due to some sort of maintenance and other issues. So reliability is something where the MTBF factor needs to be very high in comparison with the MTTR, which stands for mean time to repair. And also response time, which is a third performance metrics, is equally important. For instance, if I'm trying to play a video on my server where I have hosted it, and then if it is taking me too much amount of time for responding, irrespective of how many clients are parallelly trying to access it and all, so you need to take care, like response times need to be really quick as compared to a very slow moving sites. Next is security. For instance, you would never want your Gmail account or personal email based accounts or personal document based accounts or services being hacked. Nobody would like to get their bank accounts hacked. So the reason is everybody wants a very good security. So whenever you're talking about the security aspect of a particular service, you are hosting some important data on your web service, you don't want that data to be hacked and manipulated. So because of this, you must be choosing a service where security comes on a top priority, where there are very strong where there is an availability of very strong encryption models, like maybe RSA or some other similar encryption models. So throughput is also sometimes known as bandwidth. For example, you're hosting some 100 videos on your website, and if your service is if your service provider, hosting service provider, is unable to fetch, upload and download the data in a given bandwidth, then it is probably mismanagement of bandwidth, where the speed, even though a consumer is having a very high rate of internet, very high speed internet, even then your service being slow, he would be feeling that even his internet connection is slower. So it should not happen like a person who is trying to fetch the data from your service, maybe like with a speed of 2 Mbps, should not find it that your service or your hosting service is not giving you that much amount of throughput. If he is trying to access the data at 2 Mbps, you are giving the data at 1 Mbps, then definitely there is going to be a drop in the throughput and the overall bandwidth of the service. So point number 6, 7, and 8, that is capacity, scalability, and latency. These three things play an important role in identifying the overall quality of your system along with the service. So what it says is that the capacity of how much storage it is giving you, like maybe 1 Gbps or with a speed of 1 GB per month, or it is giving you a scalability feature or not, whether there is any latency being offered by your service. Maybe for example, you have consider that you have uploaded a data of 1 GB on your hosting server, and later on if you say that you have an analytical model being run on your service in the backend, if it is taking too much amount of period for processing, then definitely it is going to be counted somewhere in the reliability and the response time model. So if a particular service is being offered at a very less latency, if the latency is too high, then definitely your response time and reliability and altogether your service is going to be degraded. So that's all for this video, and these are the references used for the resources. Thank you.